Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and guess what? Flynn is back in the news again because Sidney Powell found some Brady evidence that has not been produced. In fact, it's kind of new. The evidence includes the data and metadata of the following two devices: a Blackberry and another Blackberry. And guess what? The defense requested this information initially by email to Mr. Van Grack and Ms. Ballantyne on Friday, October 11, 2019. The government did not reply to the email of October 11th, but it did reply in response to the notice of our motion on October 15th. And so I don't have that particular one, but I'll look for that. I haven't seen it yet. This information is material, exculpatory, and relevant to the defense of Mr. Flynn, and specifically to the OCONUS lures and agents that Western intelligence tasked against him likely as early as 2014 to arrange, unbeknownst to him, connections with certain Russians that they would then use against him in their false claims. The phones were used by Mr. Joseph Mifsud. Yep, that's who they belong to, and that's why they want them. Now, as for this OCONUS lures, this is the outside. The O stands for outside. The con is the continental and U.S. United States. And then lures are usually what they refer to as, people that work with the spy community to lure in others to try to trap them. Okay? So it's pretty self-explanatory. But the reason that that's mentioned is because, well, back here, yep, Peter Strzok, back to our favorite couple here. Guess what? They talked about it. And he asked, you get all our OCONUS lures approved? And kind of a winky face there. So, and then she replies, and you can see it's 318 and 319, so it's right, a minute after that. No, it's just implicated a much bigger policy issue. I'll explain later, might even be able to use it as a pretext for a call. Yeah, so kind of interesting that was there. Well, that is where this comes from. That's why there's a focus on it, because they were discussing it. And of course, when all this happened, it came out like this was back in June 6th of 2018. And here was an article on PJ Media about the Strzok-Page text referring to that. And of course, not only did it refer to that, but, and here it is, the outside contiguous United States, but, continental United States. And then the lures equal spies. So, yeah, these were some of the things that they were talking about. And the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane counterintelligence operation didn't officially begin until July 31st, and this of 2016. And if you recall, when I showed you this is December 28th of 2015. That's when they mentioned it. So it was going on long before that. And so this article, this is a really good article here because it also includes Donald Trump's tweets. And this is what he put out there. Wow, Strzok-Page, the incompetent and corrupt FBI lovers have texts referring to a counterintelligence operation into the Trump campaign dating way back to December 2015. Spygate is in full force. Is the mainstream media interested yet? Big stuff. Well, it goes through and it has this entire article here. I'm going to leave it down below as usual and you can read it. But again, Lou Dobbs talked to Chris Farrell from Judicial Watch, and they were talking about it, how there was a concerted effort by FBI agents to attack and undermine candidate Donald Trump. It's indisputable and violation of law. And that was, I'm talking back in 2018, folks. This was all going on. And Trump retweeted that and also, kind of gave his thumbs up there by his retweeting it. So, yeah, he quoted from it and everything. So definitely something to keep in mind. Anyway, with that, Of course, the mainstream media had to fight back. And this is what they came out with. This was dated June 7th. And I think this one was, what, June 5th? Oh, wait. This one was, yeah, his tweets were on June 5th. And I believe this article came out on the 6th. I'm sorry, on the 6th. So this article then came out later, and this is from ABC News. Now, I'm not going to play this because this doesn't mention anything about Reddit. I was really kind of interested because they use Reddit in the headline. But yeah, they called it a conspiracy theory from Reddit to the White House. It's just very interesting that they were talking about it was just a Reddit thread, and that's a fringe conservative outlet. Yeah. And eventually made his way onto Fox News, where the president is known to grab headlines and tweet them out. And so the progression of this particular, quote, conspiracy theory from the depths of Reddit to President Trump's Twitter feed highlights a recurring tactic Trump has employed since taking office, embracing an unsubstantiated claim suggested by an outside source, peppering it with innuendo, and tweeting it into the ether for his followers to debate. Okay, who does that actually sound like? That sounds like the Democrats and the New York Times and the mainstream media in general. This is what they typically do. This is not Trump. When Trump puts something out there, they all go, oh, see, it's a conspiracy theory. It's been debunked, even if they've never even challenged it. I mean, this is what they're doing right now with the whole Biden thing. They're trying to say, oh, it's been debunked. No, it hasn't. It's real, and it's there, and it's going to take Biden down. So they just want to ignore it. I guess they think if they call it conspiracy theory enough, people will believe them. But they're starting to lose their power because people don't believe them anymore. You know, they're the little kids that cried conspiracy theory. And it's not working anymore because we're finding out that all these things that Trump tweets about and they label a conspiracy theory are now coming back to bite them in the butt because they're all coming out to be true. And so this is, you know, what they're trying to tie it in with Reddit and to make it sound like, see those crazies over there. And Trump is one of the crazies. He's just listening to their conspiracy theories instead of actually going to the text messages and say, look, it's there. It says it. And what else were they talking about? That's what that term means, that there are spies outside of the United States that they have doing things. And now we've already found out, you know, that there's been a connection with several other countries in this. So it's all coming out, and definitely with the Durham report, it's going to come out big time because here's the article from today. The Washington Examiner, DOJ obtained devices belonging to Clinton dirt tipster Joseph Mifsud, Flynn lawyers say. By the way, Mifsud, if you don't know, is from Malta. He's Maltese. And guess which Democrat has a Maltese heritage? Yep, Buttigieg. And so we've talked about that before. If you haven't seen my Buttigieg videos, I actually have a playlist so you can watch like all of them that I've done on him. I've done a few because he's from around this area, so I've got a few things in there that you might not see in the national news. Anyway, so when you go down here, I want to show you this part. Attorney General William Barr and U.S. Attorney John Durham, who are conducting a review of the Russia investigation origins, recently flew to Rome to meet with Italian intelligence to obtain government information on Mifsud and listen to a secret recording of the elusive academic. Now, you might already know that. But then it goes on. It says Flynn pleaded guilty in 2017 to lying to investigators about conversations with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. The defense team who negotiated the plea deal was fired earlier this year, and since taking over the new team, Powell has argued there never would have been a plea to begin with if Flynn knew how much information the DOJ was hiding from him, alleging prosecutors improperly pressured Flynn into the deal. The information allegedly contained in Mifsud's 2 Blackberry devices Powell claims, is material, exculpatory, and relevant to the defense of Flynn and would shed light on agents that Western intelligence tasked against Flynn, likely as early as 2014, to arrange, unbeknownst to him, connections with certain Russians that they would then use against him in their false claims. Powell also referred to the OCONUS lures, a phrase referring to spies outside the continental United States, which Powell told the Washington Examiner is related to a text message exchange between former FBI officials Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. Okay, so we already talked about that. And as I was saying, I think that Flynn has been under surveillance since 2014, if not before. I mean, the Obama people were not real happy with him, and I can't hardly believe that they didn't have people keeping an eye on Flynn. Now, was it legal or was it illegal is really the question. And if the surveillance was legal, then they had a FISA warrant. But that doesn't mean the FISA warrant was valid. It just means that they went through the proper channels to do that kind of surveillance on an American citizen. Personally, I think it was probably illegal until after the election. And then when the election happened and Trump was elected and all of a sudden it was like, oh no, we're going to be found out. Suddenly they probably went and got a FISA warrant on him so they could cover their butts. But I would tend to think that, yeah, they were surveilling him a long time ago. And if these Mifsud Blackberries end up proving this, that they were surveilling him as early as 2014, that is huge. Just huge, folks. So I wanted to really share that with you. And like I said, ABC did this piece on it and tried to pin it all on Reddit and discredit Trump and really label him as a conspiracy theorist or so stupid that he doesn't know what he's really tweeting. He doesn't understand how crazy it is, even though now we're finding out it's true. And then I wanted to show you this article. This is from the Washington Post. And so they go through and this was December 18th, 2018. So they said the Mueller conspiracy graveyard inters another corpse. And so they go through and they list all these, quote, conspiracy theories that have supposedly been debunked. Okay. They said, in the past 365 days, there have been any number of theories floated about how Mueller's probe has been tainted by bias. It has. Improper behavior. It has. Or the destruction of evidence. It has. Over and over, those theories have been dismantled. Oh, they have? No, they haven't. In fact, we're finding out that they are actually true. Undercut or disproved. See, this is what they say. This is how they debunk something. They debunk it by saying, we debunked this. It's already been debunked. And it's like, really? No, it hasn't. No. And they go through and they try to show how they've all been debunked. So they have each one of these listed here, and you can go through. See, they even gave it a nice little RIP there, rest in peace. And, the Strzok-Page insurance policy tweet. This is a good place to start because it serves as a reminder that even debunked theories can persist in the ether. It's actually in the Strzok-Page text. How can they say it's not what it is? That's how they do it. This is the spin they put on it. And so if you go through, it's a little frustrating to read these because it's like you sit there going, really? Is there any chump that believes this? But evidently there are. And you have to wonder if the people actually writing it are like, the CNN thing that just came out. There's a lot of people in CNN that know what they're reporting is not right, but they can't do anything about it because if they do, they'll get fired. And so they go along with it because that's what the boss says to do. And so you got to wonder if people at the Washington Post are feeling the same way. In some ways, I wonder if this is all going to result in freeing up some of these media slaves, the journalists that have been kept captive, because if they don't play ball, they don't have a job. I mean, there are some people that put their principles first. There are hopefully a lot of us that do that. And you would rather be without a job and homeless than have a job like this. There are other jobs you can do. But for a lot of journalists, that's what they've spent their life, working towards. And you got bills to pay, and it really makes it a difficult choice a lot of times. Sometimes you have a family to feed, and, you need to have a job. And, the lure of this is just really powerful, because there's a lot of money and a lot of power in becoming one of these top journalists. So, it's very possible that there are some people who work for this organization that really don't want to be doing what they're doing, but they don't have any choice, or they feel like they don't have a choice. Anyway, you can go down and look at all these, and it's really kind of crazy. All of these things that they say have been debunked, they actually are proven to be true, but they want to say, oh no, they're not. And, the judge in the Flynn case is trying to expose the government misbehavior. Well, yes, he is. And yes, he does that. See, it says he does it all the time because he always asks prosecutors to release such evidence. No, this was something special. Okay. Yes, he does always make sure of that. But in this case, he had reason because he felt there were some things that were not being brought forward. And he's right. And that's what Sidney Powell is trying to point out. So, yes, clearly the evidence didn't turn over evidence proving that Flynn was innocent. Well, yes, clearly they haven't turned it over. They're supposed to. So that statement is correct. But they were supposed to do it. And now that's why Sidney Powell is going for the prosecutorial misconduct. So, yeah, every one of them that they have here, you're going, wait a minute. And they're trying to always discredit Trump and his tweets. But, he puts these tweets out there, and then lo and behold, we find out later on he was right. Obama was wiretapping him. Well, he was. So, yeah. Anyway, and the OCONUS lures, they say, yet another Strzok text kicked up a storm in early June when a random Twitter user noted that Strzok in December 2015 asked Page whether she had gotten all our OCONUS lures approved. OCONUS means outside the contiguous United States. Lures, it was offered, referred to spies. Spies outside the United States? Was there a Halper-type person in place as far back as December 2015? Trump tweeted that he thought so. The only problem? There was no connection at all drawn between that text message and Trump. Yeah, well, yes, there was. This is what they were talking about. So, Strzok's job was counterintelligence, meaning that he could be in the practice of setting up intelligence assets overseas. Ugh, look at that. That's also why he helped initiate the Russia investigation, itself a counterintelligence operation. The OCONUS theory quickly faded. No, it hasn't. Bring it to today, and guess what? Yeah, it's still here, and it is doing well because Sidney Powell has brought it to the court. So here we are. And Mr. Flynn is entitled to this information under Brady v. Maryland. Brady's mandate is fundamental to due process and crucial to ensure that prosecutors fulfill their obligation to seek justice rather than convictions. Maybe we need to remind Congress of that their job is to seek justice rather than convictions. The rule of Brady does so by requiring the prosecutor to assist the defense in making its case, and in that respect, the Brady rule represents a limited departure from a pure adversary model. The government may not knowingly use false evidence, including false testimony, to obtain a tainted conviction. This court's standing order also requires that the government produce this information to Mr. Flynn. And that's pretty much it. It's kind of short here, what she sent. But, the rest of it, there's like 3 more pages, but it's just a matter of confirming that she tried to get a hold of the other of the prosecutors and they have not responded. And, she even has, let me show you this. She even has down here the criminal action number and, all the case number stuff, and an order granting motion to produce newly discovered Brady evidence. Mr. Flynn moved to compel the government's production of newly discovered Brady evidence. So if the judge believes that that is valid, then he will just have to sign this. That's all he has to do to order it. So that's all he has to do. And so that's what she's got for him there. And that's, I'll leave the links to all of these down below, because I think it's really important for us to have the actual documents and to have read them ourselves. Because when people come and they talk to us and they're not sure, they've listened to the mainstream media. And like I said, this article back here, it goes through and it says, well, it's been debunked. The OCONUS theory quickly faded. Oh, no, it hasn't. See, it's back in the news. And it's something important. If Mifsud's Blackberries have anything on there to support that, because he would have been outside the United States. So, he'd have been one of them. And I think that's something we need to remember. We need to have these documents at our disposal so we can share them, disseminate them. That's one of the purposes for the 17th letter of the alphabet, is to make sure that we are paying attention to what's going on, but we're also disseminating that, because the mainstream media had such a hold on the news that people couldn't find the truth for themselves. And what has happened over the last few years is citizen journalists. People have started finding out the truth for themselves and sharing it with other people. And that's what I hope that the material I find that I give to you, you'll be able to disseminate to other people so that it can, just be like this, domino effect. It'll just keep going and ripple out to a lot of other people. So it's very important that we can get the information out there. A lot of people only listen to the mainstream media. That's all they ever hear. And they're hearing lies like that, Washington Post article. So disseminate this, okay? Get it out there, folks. Get it moving. Oh, and just a little trivia thing. I wanted to find out exactly how you pronounced OCONUS, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's said. I hope I got it right. But anyway, I went to Merriam-Webster, and guess what is trending? Kangaroo court. Yep, look up spiked 11,000% on October 8th. Because the Republicans were calling it a kangaroo court, and Trump referred to it as a kangaroo court. So kind of fun. I thought it was really interesting. And of course, the example they give you is the Washington Post tweet, but we know what side they stand on. But anyway, it was Gates that said that. And I just thought it was very interesting that is what is trending. And it gives the reason why, everything. So it's kind of just an interesting little trivia factoid there. So anyway, that's what I've got for you on this one. I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.